5 companies are currently building the digital equivalent of the interstate highway system, but for artificial intelligence, spending over $650 billion in 2026 alone. That's enough to power, cool, and connect millions of AI chips across giant facilities that are the size of small cities. This isn't just about who has the biggest data center, it's about who controls the infrastructure that every business, developer, and creator will depend on for the next decade. Today, we're investigating why they're really building this, how it reshapes competition across entire industries, and what happens to everyone else who needs access to AI but can't build their own supercomputer. To understand why Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla are spending like this, you have to understand the stack. AI isn't just software you download, it requires a massive physical foundation, specialized chips, server farms, cooling systems, power plants, and global networks. The companies that own this infrastructure don't just rent it out, they control who can build what, how fast, and at what cost. We've seen this movie before. Railroads controlled which towns grew. Oil pipelines determined energy prices. Telecom networks decided which communication platforms lived or died. But here's the twist. They're not just building toll roads, they're also building the trains, the cargo, and the destinations. Google builds chips, data centers, AI models, and the search engine you use. Amazon builds the infrastructure, the cloud platform, and the AI tools businesses deploy. Meta builds the models and the ad systems that fund it all. The more layers of the stack you control, the more advantage you have, and the more expensive it becomes for anyone else to compete. Here's the immediate driver. They're literally running out of capacity. Google Cloud grew 48% last quarter. AWS grew 24%, the fastest in over 3 years. But here's the kicker. They had to turn customers away. Google's cloud backlog, their pipeline of committed future business, jumped 55% in 1 quarter to $240 billion. They have more demand than they can physically serve. Google CEO Sundar Pichai said they're capacity constrained, not we want to grow. They literally cannot install servers fast enough to meet existing contracts. This creates a dangerous feedback loop. Every company using AI needs more compute. The hyperscalers can't build fast enough, so they pour billions into expansion, but that expansion takes 2 to 3 years to come online. By then, the demand has grown again. The result? A permanent shortage that only the deepest pockets can address. If you're a startup or a mid-sized company trying to train a large AI model right now, you really can't. The GPUs are spoken for. The data center space is booked. The power connections do not exist. Before we get to the risks, let's be honest about the benefits. This infrastructure spending isn't just abstract corporate investment. It already shows up in tools that people use daily. Take Meta. Their AI-enhanced ad targeting drove a 24% jump in advertising revenue. Here's what that means for small business owners running Facebook ads: better placements, more precise targeting, and stronger return on every dollar spent. Meta's AI doesn't just help Meta, it helps every business on their platform compete more effectively against larger rivals with bigger marketing budgets. Google's AI overviews and Gemini integration are changing how people find information and how businesses get discovered. YouTube's recommendation system, powered by the same infrastructure, drives the creator economy. Amazon's AWS is where most startups and mid-sized companies actually build their products. More infrastructure means more capacity, faster processing, and eventually more AI tools baked directly into services businesses already use. AI-powered inventory management, automated customer service, predictive analytics. The small e-commerce seller gets enterprise-grade logistics intelligence because Amazon built the underlying systems. Microsoft is embedding AI into tools hundreds of millions use daily. Word, Excel, Teams, Outlook. Every Copilot feature, every AI assistant in your workflow runs on the infrastructure they're building right now. The accountant using Excel, the project manager in Teams, the executive in Outlook all get AI augmentation without needing to understand how it works. These companies invest in infrastructure, then distribute AI capabilities downstream. The small business, the creator, the office worker, they all benefit from capabilities that would be impossible to build independently. But here's the tension. The same infrastructure build-out that delivers those benefits is also creating a fundamental split in the business world. These 5 companies now control the physical means of AI production. They don't just participate in the AI economy, they are the platform. This gives them permanent advantages beyond just product features. First is pricing power. When you're the only game in town, you set the rates. Cloud AI services can cost 10 to 100 times more than traditional computing. As demand outstrips supply, those prices stay high, even as the underlying technology gets cheaper. Second is deep integration. Amazon doesn't just sell you AI compute, they embed it into every service. Warehouse management, logistics, customer service. Their infrastructure investment lets them offer AI native versions of everything, making their ecosystem stickier. Google has already integrated Gemini in their search, docs, and Gmail. Microsoft has rebuilt Office, Teams, and Windows around theirs. The infrastructure becomes a moat around their entire product suite. Third is market intelligence. They can see what applications gain traction because those applications run on their infrastructure. They can spot promising trends early and then build competing features. Now, let's look at the other side, the AI have-nots, small and mid-sized businesses who depend on these platforms. Yes, they get better ad targeting from Meta. Yes, they get AI tools in Office from Microsoft, but they're also increasingly captive. If you're a 50-person company, you face brutal choices. You rent from the giants at premium prices you don't control. You try to build yourself, except you can't because the hardware is allocated years in advance, or use open source models which still require expertise and compute that's increasingly scarce. The risk? AI becomes another variable cost that scales with your success, eating margins exactly when you start growing. Remember that small business benefiting from Meta's better ad targeting? They're also paying more for those ads as competition increases and inventory stays constrained. Now, you must be thinking, is there any escape from this concentration? Here are a few possibilities. Open source models are getting better fast. DeepSeek and Kimi proved that you can train competitive AI for millions instead of billions. If running AI locally becomes cheap enough, businesses could reduce dependence on cloud providers. Regional and specialized clouds are emerging. Companies like Corvi focus specifically on AI workloads. Nations are building sovereign AI infrastructure to avoid dependence on US giants. Another possibility is edge computing. Edge computing pushes AI processing to local devices, your phone, laptop, office server, reducing dependence on distant data centers. But here's the catch. All these alternatives still depend on the underlying infrastructure somewhere. Open source models need chips to run. Regional clouds need power and buildings. Edge devices need efficient models that were likely trained on giants' infrastructure. The $650 billion buildout isn't just about 2026. It's about setting the terms for the next 2 decades. The companies pouring concrete today are positioning to be the essential utilities of tomorrow. The question for businesses and creators isn't whether to use AI, it's whether you can afford to depend on infrastructure you don't control, even when that infrastructure delivers real benefits, or find ways to build autonomy before the walls get higher. If you're navigating these decisions for your own business, figuring out how to leverage AI without getting locked into platforms that eat your margin away, that's exactly what I help companies with. I provide AI strategic consulting to businesses of all sizes, from startups figuring out their first AI deployment to established companies rethinking their entire digital strategy. If you want to talk about your specific situation, reach out to me at the email in the description below. Hit like if you enjoyed watching this video and drop a comment. What strategies are you seeing for navigating this infrastructure concentration? Subscribe for more on how technology infrastructure shapes competition. Thanks for watching.